At home, there's only 6 of us, the 4 boys and the 2 of us, and it's been such a lovely event that we've been, and we're so proud of Mthunzi, and he is our, he's our big brother, our role model, and we look up to him. He's done a great job, and also for him to have simplified this book on ILO, and it's being understood by 13-year-olds. It's such a brilliant idea, and I'm glad that the book can be read by a whole lot of people. I mean, if CEOs, university students, employers, employees, everybody, and hopefully it can also reach the entire world, back also into the rural communities and all that, and I think that says it all.
Tell me more about Mthunzi as a brother, like what the lessons you've learned, what you've seen from him, his work ethic, and some of his exploits.
So there might be a bit of a bias because he's my brother, but I'll tell you from a brotherhood perspective. So Mthunzi is the firstborn in our family. I'm number 5 out of 6 kids. So we've always grown up looking at him, looking up to him. The things that he was doing, basically led the way. If you unpack the name behind it, as Africans, our parents give us names that we tend to follow. So his name is Mthunzi. So he's been that shade that as a family we always tap into every now and then. His middle name is Perry Mason, which he was given by his grandfather, our grandfather, and he followed that. He's an attorney by profession. So I'm really proud of him because we grew up, there's an age gap of about almost 8 years between the two of us. But there's a lot that I've learned from him, from a brother, as a bigger brother, from a bigger brother point of view. The thing that I'm most proud of is he's been talking about writing a book. I'm so pleased that he finally started the journey of writing books. What I'm even more excited about is that he committed himself to writing more books, which I think it is important that we tell our stories. So super, super, super happy and pleased about this.
Yes, and also, I saw from your speech how proud you are of him. Also, how important is it, coming from the backgrounds, to come from the villages, to break through and actually follow and fulfill our potential? What impact has education played in your own life and career?
Well, I'd give credit that to the family that we were born into. Our parents, our family, our extended family, they truly, truly believed in education. They saw education as the catalyst to take us out of the village and obviously always go back to the village, not really leave the village, but inspire others. And Mthunzi is that lighthouse. Everywhere he goes, he's traveled the world over, and through the ILO he's had the pleasure of engaging with different cultures. So the power of traveling is that it really opens your eyes. And the biggest thing about Mthunzi as a brother, as Mthunzi as a father, Mthunzi as a businessman, and Mthunzi as a South African, it's that potential to be an inspiration to everyone in the country and in the world. So truly, truly a privilege for me to be his brother.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's summarize it. We're launching a book today by Mthunzi Mdwaba. What have you learned from him, and what are you looking forward to in terms of this book? It's been a long time coming, and he took his time to work on it. What can we definitely look forward to with this book?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a great question, and I'm really excited to be here today with everyone and being able to celebrate his book. One of the key things that I think we should all learn from this book is how important the ILO is, especially for us who are in corporate, right? So knowing how your labor laws were put together, why they are put together the way they are, is so important for you understanding also your legal rights as well, understanding where your country sits in terms of its legal rules versus other countries. Like having the privilege of working outside of South Africa, I have been exposed to different labor laws. And I'm always curious on why is things looking like this in this country versus my country. And this book actually just summarizes or clarifies it for you in terms of why. And I love the way that he's put it into text and make it very simple, very practical, that I feel like all of us, I'm speaking from people in corporate and also students, that we should all read this book and understand how the International Labour Organization actually works and how all of our labor laws are actually created. So for me, I'm really, really happy that he did this, and he actually made it so simple for us to all learn and understand. And also the second thing is just engage in conversations, right? Not just read it for yourself, but make sure that someone else close by also has a copy so that you can have an intellectual debate about why this is like this, why is this law designed in this way? Okay, let's look at the reactions during COVID. It's a great book to read for yourself, but also to be able to have conversations with others. So that's why I bought extra copies for my friends to make sure that we have those discussions.
Welcome back to the boardroom. So I'm joined by Khumisi, who's the attorney for Mthunzi Mdwaba, who's launching his book today, A Labor of Love, Demystifying the ILO, which is an organization he worked for as president, and he was the first from Africa to head this organization. And I'm joined by Khumisi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm sure it's been a great ride, working with this man, Mthunzi Mdwaba, and he's launching a book today. What do you make of this book, and how important is this book? Because many people still didn't understand the work of the ILO and what Mthunzi did with this organization, and also just adjusting some of these labor laws, because in South Africa, I mean, our labor force is really in trouble, with the economy, and is many issues to talk about.
Yeah, no, sure, definitely. And I mean, just like we would have in our country, the Constitution, which we know is overarching, and everything that we have as a country flows from it. It's so important that he had to deal with this issue of also dealing with what I would see as a constitution of labor, law or labor organization, so as to, paint a picture, at least summarily, how it looks like from where it starts to how we have it as countries, because that's where it would start, where there are employers, employees and governments deciding on issues, everything labor. Then it gets to countries where we have to nationalize and domesticate and localize those objectives. So I think it's very important that he sort of summarized it for us before getting into the nitty-gritties of the actual elephant, which he promises that he will deal with that as time goes on.
I think for us this is a proud moment to have a leader of his caliber, who's well versed in international and geopolitics, especially when it comes to the world of work. We know that he's very passionate about changing the status quo around labor practices and creating jobs and everything. You've seen him through the campaign. In each and every debate that he went to, in each and every interview, he would not come out not touching on the importance of the International Labour Organization, which is the ILO. And when we wrote this book, like for instance, to be truthful, I did not know there was an organization called the ILO until Mthunzi came into the fore of the UDM and he started speaking about it. And we have known Mthunzi from February when he came to the UDM in 2024, this year 2024. And from the first meeting, would talk about the ILO. He introduced, this great organization which has spanned centuries, and they're like, oh, okay. Then one started going into finding out about, what is this ILO? What does it do? How does it impact, our labor systems in Africa and the global community? So he is a teacher. He might not see that he is a teacher, but he taught us that there's such a big thing that is happening just under our nose. It is something that every South African and every African in every one across the global stages that needs to know about, and needs to know how does it impact themselves, and how they can be a part of it. In their not going to Switzerland per se. Okay, some of us we might go by the grace of God. But also in your local sphere of contact, because what's important, it's how we influence our sphere of contact. We influence people on the ground in order for them to be aware, because knowledge is power. But not just knowledge is only power, but applicable knowledge is super extraordinary power that our people need to have. And this is what Mthunzi is exactly doing, to saying that with this book, this is an introduction. He said this is an introduction into the ILO. He's still going to write some of the books which are going to get to the nitty-gritties, and he's going to go into depth. But now he's just dangling a carrot in order to create an appetite to us as readers and to the global society. And I wish that and believe that through the grace of God, this book will be the bestseller.
How is it that some countries demonstrate such terrible treatment of people via a lack of good labor laws or no implementation of laws when in fact they are members of the ILO? In my humble view, this relates to a lack of implementation of the labor of love called conventions or standards. The ILO has a very rich legacy of standards, its normative system being the heartbeat of the organization. However, there is no way we can, through osmosis, get norms, standards, conventions to be part of the laws of the member states of the ILO without the ratification of those laws by your country. We also cannot achieve any impact without the necessary implementation of those laws. And I mean, this is what our country fails dismally. We can never implement anything. We are normally amongst the first countries to come up with policies on everything. We are the first one to ratify everything. We lead amongst ratifications in the world. We are known for being the best ratifiers of everything, right? But we are the worst performers and worst implementers of everything, right? So there's a disconnect. And so you will see in the book that I go into a conversation that says, how do we take ratification and implementation and performance and link them together? How can we find a way where the DG of the ILO is not gratified by taking a photo with the president of wherever, right? Signing a piece of convention that goes into a drawer, the photo goes on the wall of the office of that person, but there's no law. Or if there is a law, there's no one to chase and monitor and make it work. So I talk about that. I said, how can we do that? How is it possible that we could do that, right?
Welcome back to the Boardroom. So I'm joined by Prof Mthunzi Mdwaba. He's launching a book today, Demystifying the ILO, an organization that he headed as a first African to actually head that organization. And he wrote a book, long time coming, Demystifying the ILO, a labor of love. Well, was this really a labor of love or a lot of fighting?
It's a labor of pain. A labor of pain, but I think somebody said it well. One of my friends, Jacqueline Mugo from Kenya, to say, you know that all the things that you love are the ones that give you the most pain. But writing it, though, was a labor of love. The experiences in the ILO are so vast and so rich that, in a small book like that, it was very difficult to cover everything I would have wanted to. But for the sake of simplicity and believing that it needed to be done in as simple a manner as possible, along the lines of Leonardo da Vinci, who says simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I then found a way to keep it simple, but in keeping it simple, I needed to make certain promises and commitments of doing more. So you'll see when you read the book that in many parts, I keep referring to many other books I have to write for me to be able to complete this labor of love. So this was just but chapter 1 of the labor of love.
What surprised you, Prof, about writing this book?
What surprised me? That I was writing a book. I think that was the first surprise, that I'm writing a book. Because, when people have asked me over the years, they said, when are you going to write a book? You've got such a vast and rich experience. You're going to write books. you sort of say, yeah, I'll think about it. But there is also a part that says, yeah, how am I going to make time to write a book? How do I actually find time to construct my thoughts in such a way that I can produce something like that? So, yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. And it took me a long time to finish. I mean, it's a small book, but it took me a very long time to finish. There were times that I didn't think I was going to finish. And there are times I would read it and think, no, I don't agree with what I've written. I need to revise it, So yeah, but it's been a very, I think, educational process. I'm always happy with learning new things. Words have never really been something that escapes me. Putting them together, structuring thought together, and I guess doing what people call thought leadership has never been something that I find, difficult to do. But when you write a book, I think you discover something else within you that I think you didn't know also exists, because you've got to dig deep. You've got to have respect not only to the topic, the subject, but have respect to the people that you expect to read your book, right? And try and imagine and visualize if they will understand what you're saying, for starters. And secondly, when they do understand it, whether you're going to keep them interested for a period of time. I think for me, that was the thing I kept on asking myself. Yeah, so...
Yeah, because someone with your experience, you just wonder how has it eluded you to write a book, But people came out, Prof, to celebrate with you. Your family was here to congratulate you and just to give you that courage to keep going and keep shining. Talk more about the experience of seeing your friends in the room, what that did for you. I mean, I'm sure also some people you haven't seen in a minute. Talk more to that.
Well, when you embark on a journey, Rajiv Dubey, the gentleman from India who said he fell in love, or he almost fell in love, and he said something like that with me. He always loved to say, my dear brother, my fellow traveler. He likes to say that. And we are travelers on a journey. Some people come onto the journey for a little while. Some people meet you on the journey when you've been on the journey for a long time. Some people are with you on the journey from beginning to end. That's the journey of life. And the people that were here were a kaleidoscope of a mixture of many moments in my life. The people that were there virtually, together with the people that were here, was almost like in itself. I mean, today was not about me, it was about my book. But you ended up hearing people saying things about me, which in some way, I think shows the kind of rich friendships I've built along the way. Genuine friendships, people who care for you, people who care for the things you do deeply, not because they're trying to buy your face and trying to, impress anybody, which I think is what we need on a human level. When we talk about Ubuntu, not Ubuntu in a way that is trying to be political and politicize and confuse others, but in a true caring for each other manner. Having my siblings here, having my mother here, having my kids, overseas and here was really special. I mean, I'm really moved to tears. There are one or two people that always move me to tears and succeed. But today I was moved to tears a few times. It was very special for my brother to say what he said to me. He didn't have to. He can say to me during a private moment, right? But he was moved by whatever moved him, and he had to say today in front of everybody to say, they're not going to dim your light. That's very special for me, right? To hear my mother speak. My mother's never been in an event, professional working environment with me, ever. And, it kept on bugging me. There was a lot I was planning for the book. There was a lot I was doing. And I kept on thinking, and it kept on coming to me that my mother. And eventually I thought, you know what, she must come. And then I can't remember who I mentioned. I said, no, you've thought about it, your mother must come. And then my team decided she must speak, you know. And I think it was special. It's the kind of thing that when I look back one day, will probably even have a much deeper meaning than today. You know, she's the last surviving elder, right? And I think that's special, that she got an opportunity to speak and be part of who I am, and for people who know me, who've known me forever, to see that when I talk about family, it's deep. It goes, you know, yeah. So it was a good day.
So what's next, Prof? I mean, like you have to live up now to all this that happened today. I mean, it's like you open a can of worms,
Yes.
so to speak. I mean, tours. I see a lot of talks, touring universities to young people, because there's a gospel that you preach.
You know, the thing I've had to accept on this journey is how I tend to open a can of worms, right? I mean, I think I do it repeatedly. So, and until actually you use the word can of worms, I hadn't thought of it like that. But when you said it, I thought, actually, I do open a can of worms repeatedly, regularly, and almost, you know, sustainably, right? So, firstly, fortunately for me, I never feel that I have to prove a point to anybody. I think that's the thing that keeps me sane. I never feel, when I do me. I do because it feels good to me. It feels right? Not that I'm always right. Not always right. There are things I may miss and get wrong, but I always consult, I always apply my mind, I always ask other people that I believe in, say, what do you think, and whatever you. And now that I've finally got to this chapter of writing a book, I think you're right. You heard me say that this is the kind of book that needs to be bought by government for all its employees. All its employees, not only the Department of Employment and Labour, but all employees. Everybody who works should have the book like this. Corporates should buy this book for all their employees. Trade unions need to buy this book for all their employees. Schools, universities, I do need to do tours, you're right. I need to go and speak on many platforms about this book. As you also heard me say, I don't want to be seen to be launching a book only in Joburg. It would be lovely if we get sponsorship to go to places like Durban, PE, East London, you know, and not just be in one area, you know. And I would also like to find a way to go to the Kasis and the rural villages, you know. I don't know how that will work, but I think if we want it to happen, it will happen. And then of course, I might want to go to Kampala, because the joint publisher for the book with the University of Johannesburg is the University of Makerere in Uganda. I think it would make sense to go to Kampala and do a launch there. I have promised other books. I have started writing 2 other books. I'm going to have to write them now. So there's no ducking, right? Because I've promised it. And every time I refer to a book and I refer to another book, everyone says, whoa, you know? I think what has disappointed me is a strong word, but I think what has taken everybody by surprise rather than disappointment is that this is not a juicy book. It's not a book where I'm saying hectic things about anybody, right? I sort of intimate and sort of hint and tease, but without saying anything about anything, right? But the next book is going to be very juicy. I can tell you this much. There's a whole chapter there that will be extremely juicy about certain individuals. Yeah. So yeah. But there's also a lot of content that relates to the ILO when I talk about the ILO dusting itself, or it being dusted to do the right work and bring light to the dark, I am also referring to the fact that there's a lot of new territory and new ground the ILO should be covering. The ILO is becoming a cake. It's dealing with old issues only. For example, when you talk about creatives, the ILO has not built a body of work on how to deal with artists and musicians and creatives, and it hasn't.
And that space has evolved so much.
It's huge and it's evolved, and it accounts for a lot of money. A lot of people, eke out their living from, they talk about decent work and dignity, but nobody's thinking about decent work and dignity in the creative industries. I think that's quite critical. So we need to look at that, and I have some ideas on how this looks like. So I'm going to put it to paper and write.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Prof. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.